Welcome to the LEAFMAN Podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Taylor. This is my co-host,
Brooks McWhorter. Hold on, let me do this before we start talking.
We gotta start getting some first form stuff up in here because I like Andy Frisson. I like his podcast, so I'll buy some stuff to advertise on our show for free. Support his biz.
Because my baby mama is an ambassador. What up?
What's up with it?
But anyways,
speaking of, I don't know if how's that going?
Good.
Yeah.
Enjoying. Going to see him this year. I got a son that I'm kind of estranged from, but I'm going to his birthday this year. First time in 10 years.
That's exciting, man.
Very exciting.
It's going to be a
very
big moment. Big moment.
It'll be fun. I'm dreading how awkward it might be, but I'm kind of just going to have to settle in on that it is going to be awkward, and that's essentially my fault.
You gotta.
So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I know it'll go good in the end.
You just gotta get your feet wet, and then after that, it's like, slow. Like you can't. It's
He already makes it pretty easy for me. I mean, he already sends me like voice messages, all that stuff like that every time he gets a new video game.
Yep, and it's awkward, but at the cost of what? At the cost of never having a relationship?
Yeah, is it more worth it to never?
Yeah, cool. I gotta deal with a little bit of awkwardness to like have a relationship with my son for the rest of my life. Cool.
And it's almost my thing to bear that awkwardness because, I mean, I said to people, they were like, well, are you waiting, you're probably waiting for him to invite you to do something or this or that, you know what I mean? And I just kind of have to open people up to the realization that yes, and I do. Of course, I wish it would have moved super, super fast, and it would have just been happy and just immediate. But you have to think about, in the end, I'm a 32-year-old man, and I wouldn't know what to say.
Yeah,
he's 10.
Yeah, so
you have
to know what to say. Exactly.
Just got to be patient with him, but it paid off.
Good.
He asked his mom to invite me.
It's awesome. I love that. Good for you, man. Good for you. Happy days.
It'll be fun. So to get started, before we do any of the cues, figured a nice little fun way to move into it. I saw this on it was just on a question that Peter Attia asked. Do you know who that is? He's got a huge podcast. He just had that Derek dude on from More Plates, More Dates.
Oh, nice.
But you just kind of asked him because I feel like you'll have an answer for this because I definitely have a short answer, but I mean I have a million answers. Everything bugs me. But have you been watching anything out there? Like you seen any podcast or like any even advertisements or anything out there in like the social media world that's just kind of been irking you specifically lately? Like with me, it's always that V-Shred dude that pops up in my YouTube things. It's like
V-Shred's everywhere.
It's like a 15-minute ad to a little quiz.
Yeah.
And it's like, ugh.
You don't need to eat healthy. You can eat like trash and be as fit as you want.
Right, but that's not essentially what he's saying, but essentially it's just this long thing where he says nothing. It's like old marketing, what I mean? It's just he does this long thing where he says all this intriguing stuff and then never really gets to a point.
Yeah.
And
100%.
But you know what I noticed that I didn't know that this More Plates, More Dates guy said was I only know his first name, Derek. I think most people know his first name.
Yeah, who knows?
But so he said like the annoying thing is and the non-ethical part of it is that in the very beginning of the video it shows him in front of a red velvet screen. Almost he created a cast a stage that looked like the Joe Rogan show and filmed clips on it and made it look like he was on the Joe Rogan show. He's never been on it.
Really?
Yeah, and all of those YouTube ads you see, it's like the first thing you see is him in front of that red velvet.
That's funny.
Curtain.
That's him? He did that?
He did that, yeah.
Dang.
He's never been on Rogan.
Ruthless.
Wild, right?
I thought that he had.
I thought he had too. I was convinced.
Yeah.
Red curtain, it had me.
Yeah.
This is all it needs.
That's interesting. Did he talk about it? Did he do it on purpose?
The guy that was talking about it, he said, yeah, it's a marketing
ploy. Yeah. That's wild, dude.
I mean, partially to each their own, but that's kind of non-ethical, I feel like, to use. Yeah. I mean, you're using the visages of someone else's show. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I would feel guilty about it if I did that.
Right, for sure. Like if you and me had a red curtain back here.
Yeah. He's kind of got like a good he's got a good following though. I wonder why he felt like he needed to do that.
I don't know, dude.
Because I feel like that's a good way to never get on that podcast.
Yeah, and it's like I know that he said another one of the people that bothering him lately were like Gary Brecka, the guy that got Dana White in shape.
Oh, really?
It's like some deal. But anyways, he's just like, he speaks so confidently, and sometimes it's just nonsense.
Nonsense, complete garbage. Do
you have any ones like that? Or no?
Yeah, my feed is filled.
With stuff that is annoying.
Yeah. And mostly it's because I just, like lately I have stopped following. It's funny because I'm in like I feel like our podcast is entrepreneurial, motivational stuff. But like I unfollowed like 90% of those people just because it just got so annoying over and over and over.
It gets repetitive too.
Yeah. And it's just like not entertaining to me. Like I like talking about it, but all these, these entrepreneurs, like here's the thing. I just want one of them, just one of them to talk about the actual business that they built with pride. And none of them own anything. None of them can point to one single business and be like, I own this business and it is my legacy. And that's what I did. Except for Andy Frisella, which is why I like him a lot.
And Hormozy.
And Hormozy and Justin Waller is one of them because I like some of his stuff, not all of it.
But you're saying very few of them are actual business owners that are...
Yeah, they're just like, oh yeah.
They're considering almost their podcast their business, maybe?
They're investors. There's a big difference. I'm not an investor, and I have no interest in being an investor.
Right.
Like, I don't want to get rich to be rich, and that's what investing is for. I want to get wealthy from a business that I built, and the wealth is a byproduct of the thing that I'm building. I'm not going after the wealth. That's what investors do. I'm investing because I want the money. I don't really care about that. So like for me, I just got so tired of listening to like, you should invest your money this way. You should do this. You should do that. If you're not doing real estate, you're stupid. This, that, and the other.
Investing for me is hard because like me and Sarah have the same outlook on it in the way that I would love to learn how to be good at like, I tried that Acorns app, the micro investing and I tried learning a little bit about crypto. That ended immediately.
Yeah.
I spent 10 seconds on that and was like, no,
lame.
Harlan's had some luck with it, but it's wild. I mean, people have luck with everything. That's why they become anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just am saying, as far as we look at it, maybe not, and down the road, definitely, maybe to the extent that you have, I would love to invest in a restaurant or something in the food industry.
Yeah.
And just be the investor, but I would want to be a part of it. Like, does it make sense? Like, I wouldn't want to open a restaurant, like invest in a restaurant, open it, and then work in the kitchen. That's not my idea of a good time.
No.
I don't like cooking for other people. I mean, I love cooking for like people close to me.
Coming up with a menu,
finding a great chef who does care, and all that is intriguing to me, and I love that. And I would be able to, like, I love the aspect of, I'm like my dad, he owned a restaurant, all he did was go around and talk to everyone.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to invest.
I was talking about it with David earlier, actually. It's this thing where, like, America is, like, its own worst enemy, right? Like, our food is poisoned because people are lazy and they wanted convenient. Instead of having to go to the grocery store, they wanted something that would sit in their closet forever and not go bad.
Even at the grocery store, you're buying deli meats that are
preservatives and all kinds of crap. It's like
processed.
The convenience that we're looking for is our own biggest worst enemy. And so for me, it's like I had to really think about this because when I was younger, like you remember, I went on that real estate kick when I first got into all this stuff and was like,
that was when you were in the mode of like. You kept distracting yourself with every new thing. Every time there was a new thing.
I was looking for the next thing to make money. Yeah. And I would love to, if I ever invest, like, I care so little about investing that even when I have money, I don't think about Wall Street. I don't think about, Bitcoin or Dogecoin or NFTs. Like, I just don't care about any of that. And I don't think it's a viable option to get wealthy. And on top of that, if I did have extra money, I want my community to be better. So I'd find guys like you or other people. When I have throwaway money, it's like, you want to open a restaurant? I'll invest in that.
Right.
I might lose the money, but I could coach someone along the way. I could watch someone learn how to build a business, and it's producing great things in my community. What the freak does any of this Dogecoin or NFTs do for anyone in my community? It does nothing.
It creates individual wealth. Which for people that get lucky. It's not even like a sure thing.
No, and I just don't care
and
about
neither
that.
is investing in people. But investing in people, I can stand on my own 2 feet and say why I did it.
Yeah.
And I would know that reason was good rather than just being like, here's the holistic reason that I invested in crypto.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There is none.
There is none. You did it for the money, and that's okay. Like, for people,
money. I love it too.
Yeah, people are honest about that. That's great. That's just not what I'm after, really. Yeah, like I love money too. I want to be rich. Like, that's yeah. I want to drive whatever car I want. I want to be able to not ever look at anything cost-wise ever again. Like, that's great. Of course, I would love to do that. I just don't want to do it that way.
Right.
I would rather take the time and do it this way, because this way at the end I'll have the money and the pride.
Mm-hmm.
If you do it that way, it's like, cool, I made a cool couple of investment calls. I got rich overnight, and now what? Like,
exactly. Yeah.
I just am not. I don't get any fulfillment for that, and it's not just about the money. It's also about the fulfillment.
Yeah. So for me, like, my focus is gonna be, as soon as I hit whatever time I need to at Ace Gutter, you know, I need to start on that 401k life. So I think that's important.
Yeah.
Because that's something that'll be there.
Retirement.
You know, for retirement. I mean, that's what I think of for investment. I mean, I don't even think of investing to just absolutely bolster my life. You know what I mean? We make a good living and we have a great life and we're super comfy, and that's all you really need.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a little more, you know, a little extra play money, but we have what we need. Retirement is obviously what scares everyone.
Yeah.
And it's just because I don't want to work till I do want to work, but I don't want until I'm like 75. You know what I mean? But I don't want to work in a capacity where I have to make money until I'm 75. I want to like be like a greeter at a Walmart. You know what I mean? And just be like for fun and be like, what's up?
I'm having a good time. Yeah.
Welcome to Walmart. I'm not going to do that, but you
Texas
know what I mean?
Roadhouse greeter,
I'd rather do something like that than as opposed to like having to like, you know, you got your guys that worked at the Ford plant till they were 65 years old. That's a nightmare.
Dude, I actually read In-N-Out's biography, and do you know that there's people that have worked in In-N-Out? Like, honestly, I'm more power to them for their retention rate. They must be a great interior company, but they have people that work there for 65 years.
That's so sick.
65 years, bro. That means they started when they were 20 and didn't retire until they were 85.
Right.
That's nuts.
It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, their book was really good. They're actually a really good company. I support they're
I've
privately
heard
owned.
they are.
They're privately owned. They never went public. So every In-N-Out is owned by the same people. They get to run it however they want it. And they do a lot of good things. I really respect them a lot.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Anyways, back to that stuff. Like, for me, it's hard to differentiate too between like I never want to be greedy to the point that it like I need so much money for the qualms of helping that like it's actually not helping people. Like, for instance, I think real estate investing is fine. Like, great. I'm gonna have a couple of properties. Like, I have one now. I'll probably buy another house, and like maybe I'll have 2 or 3 or 4.
For sure, we're all in real estate.
Yeah.
Anyone that owns a house, you're in real estate. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Like you're doing what everyone's doing.
It's okay to have a couple of investment properties, and then that's your retirement. Like, you own that one until you're 50, 60, and then you sell it, and that's like $500,000, $1 million that you get to have in your retirement.
Yeah.
Freaking awesome. Sweet. Beyond like 10 buildings, I feel like everyone is just like, at what point do you turn into just like the greedy BlackRock guys who are just buying everything out so that they can own everything and everybody has to rent, and it's corrupt.
Right. You monopolize everything.
Yeah, like why does your benefit have to cost other people? Like, why can't, that's a great way to put it. Why does your richness have to cost me my richness? Like me, like I want to get rich by serving other people. And that's what we do with Tree Work. Like, I serve you. You know, I'm here to give you something in return for money. Not, hey, I bought this, the bank loaned me money, you're gonna pay me money. And like you didn't, like, you're not doing anything. That's not service. I get the purpose of it, and it's a great way to make money. I just think it's also a greedy way to make money. And I'm not, having a couple to support yourself, great. Having that be your only source of income, I don't know. I'm gonna get that's gonna become a real, and I guarantee a bunch of people are gonna get butthurt about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is what it is, man. I wouldn't be the one to monopolize. I can't really talk bad on anyone that does. It's legal, and
I get it.
It's not always unethical, I would say.
I don't think so either. But it was like, dude,
it's just not my thing.
It's not my thing either. Yeah, I looked at it, dude. I seriously looked at real estate heavily like 4 or 5 years ago, and was like, this could be a way. I looked into house hacking. I looked into, fix and flipping, the BRRRR strategy, all these things. And you remember, like, I was really into it.
Yeah, I mean.
And then one day, dude, I just had this realization. I was like, dude, it cost me an absurd amount of money to buy my house. An absurd amount. And same with you.
Insane.
An insane amount of money. And then I was looking at my brother and my sister, and I was like, how are they going to get a house in this market? Like, They're not. That's the truth. And I don't want to contribute to that not being possible for them. And I am contributing by buying up more properties, just like everybody else is. And like that sucks, but
but are we the holy martyr for not doing it? You know what I mean? Because people are going to do it no matter what. Nobody cares about us.
100%.
But I get what you're saying.
I just don't want to contribute to it personally. Because that's like
kind of like how when we initially talked about the beef thing, when I really cut down and stuff like that. It's like, and you're like, well, is it really helping? It's like, no, but. I'm doing what I can.
I'm doing my part. Yeah,
I'm doing what I can in the scope of what I'm doing.
100%. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And that's why I just decided it's not really for me. I would rather build something. I would rather get my money by serving other people more than any other thing. That's the way that I want to make money.
Yeah, and running a company ethically and not finding shortcuts to make more and finding those tax write-offs. And I mean, tax write-offs are good if they're good. You know, you're doing charity, definitely write it off.
It's the freaking hardest way. I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's a cruel joke, you know? Divine intervention. God knows that I'm stubborn, and so he made this, he laid out a path for me that just happened to be like a very, very, very difficult one. Like, not only is it hard to build a service business, but tree work is especially hard. You know that firsthand. Yeah. Like, just absurdly, ridiculously hard.
Anything outside.
Yeah, and it's seasonal. Yep.
I would assume.
And then on top of that, like, just the economy being crap. I don't know, man. I mean, imagine it's such a challenge, and I hate it.
Concrete companies in the winter, you know.
100%. Yeah, a lot of them. 100%. I feel blessed though, because it's so hard, and I feel like it's forging me into such a good person that I'm really happy when I look in the mirror. Like, I honestly, even in the midst of like terror, like December and January, even in the midst of just the world crumbling, like I feel like I've maintained like a good amount of happiness, like even with all the bad things, just because I'm like, dude, I've seen so much worse. Right. You know, like it's not a whatever. It's not the end of the world. Cool.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I try to stay pretty humble and try not to be prideful, but I mean, you and me essentially chose infantry, you know, after taking our ASVABs and getting high scores on them.
Yeah.
I mean, I love every single person I was in the service with, but I was on machine gun lines with people that got like an 11 on their ASVAB out of 100.
Yeah.
But you know what? Salt of the earth, those guys.
Yeah.
They're just not building anything right now. What's your GT score?
123. Cool. You can have pretty much any job you want in the Army. Which one do you want? Which one gets me out of here tomorrow?
Yeah, exactly. And that was what we did.
Yeah, pretty much.
We just got out of there quick.
Yep. I loved it, honestly. I loved being infantry. I love those memories.
I wish I had been a little bit more high speed in the beginning.
Yeah,
but
same.
I did get there. I did get to be a little high speed for a while.
Yep.
But anyways,
well, what else you got?
You ready for a thing?
Yeah, ready for a thing.
Oh, I remember what. So, we've talked about this lightly before, but I kind of wanted to see how it's evolved for you. But so, as business owners, like I'm not a business owner, but as a business owner and people out there that own really any business, you're not reinventing the wheel. Everything has kind of a setup, you know. Every business, you're gonna come up with the idea, get the tools, learn the job, learn the skill, start the marketing, start doing the work, adapt and overcome, so forth, so on and so forth. But a lot of people say that, well, you're not as good of a company as you could possibly be if you're not leaving room for innovation and creativity. But being a new business, you don't have time for that always. So I was curious to know where you come from as far as allowing creativity and innovation into an industry that you're still trying to follow the schematic on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what is the answer? Do you hire managers that have that creativity and innovation, or do you need to set aside time for yourself to consider that, because you don't have time for your managers to be creative and innovative because you need them to be following the schematic and getting work done.
Yeah.
So where do you kind of fall there? Do you delegate creativity and innovation, or do you set it aside for yourself, or is that really unbalanced right now for you? Like, do you not find time for that?
It's pretty unbalanced. I don't have a lot of time for that. But I feel like the owner of the business, their job is to steer the ship and produce creative paths to get where they're going. Mm-hmm. And so
after setting the schematic
I think you have to, like, first you're building, then you get your foundation built. So you have your team, they're doing everything the way that you like. Mm-hmm. Then you keep building that team until you have like a little buffer, like a 6-month buffer of like things go wrong, you can survive for 6 months. Then you start taking creative risks. Like, then it's, okay, now we're a company, we're sustained, we're running. Let's just say you're producing, let's keep it small. Let's say you're producing like 5 million at that point. You know, that's still a relatively small business.
Right.
At that point, I think you're pretty much self-sustaining, and now it's time to start looking at how to push the envelope. Do we want to open up a shop in Park City? Maybe instead of using these kind of trucks, we could use these kind of trucks and assemble them this way instead. Maybe instead of having a bunch of sales guys, we have one guy do this many things this day and this many things that day. Then I think you can start to get creative with it. But I think that only works if you get the system built and established first.
And rolling along.
Yeah, you can't try changing the shape of the wheel until you've proved that it can roll.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. I was going along kind of the same thing. You can first you got to build the car.
Yep.
Then you can put in the rims. You can put in you can put in hydraulics.
Yeah.
you can then you put in the underlighting.
Yeah.
You put on the decals.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Later.
Yeah.
You know?
And then, some companies, big ones, they have to completely tear out the engine and do a full rebuild because the car that they built is no longer suited to the climate they're in.
Or they put too big of an engine in too small a car.
And it doesn't work, yeah.
Like we thought we did with Trico for a while.
We did, yeah.
You grow too fast.
Put too big
of an engine
in. Dude, here's the thing. I feel like businesses are the good ones sustain because the owner just loves what they do and therefore they're always thinking of new ways or new paths to go. So like, for instance, Netflix, right? And Blockbuster. Like, what happened with Blockbuster? They were huge.
Yeah.
And then they completely shut down. And Netflix actually came to them and tried to get in with them and they were like, laughed in their face, no thanks. And so Netflix kept pushing the envelopes. I don't know if you remember this. Back in the day, you used to order Netflix and they send you DVDs.
You order Netflix.
Yeah, they would order. You get DVDs delivered to your house. Nowadays, it's not like that. Like everything is streaming. But that's a good example of them building the car. The car was running. They were shipping DVDs. They were outdoing Blockbuster already. Outdoing Blockbuster.
Right.
And then what happened? They were like, oh, the climate is changing. This engine is not going to work anymore. If we want to continue to be a business, we need to change with the times.
They were probably building out that streaming for years before, just knowing they were going to screw Blockbuster.
Yeah,
because that coding and that building that monster doesn't happen overnight.
Oh, not at all. And it probably started off way small. Like we know Netflix is huge because it's been around forever. But like Netflix was probably small at one point with a couple hundred movies, maybe a couple thousand movies,
or some couple
whatever.
Shows.
But that's. The people at Netflix were smart and they were thinking like, okay, the climate is changing. Like tree work that's never really going to change. People are always going to need to be trees removed. But in the tech world,
trees aren't out of nowhere going to be made of styrofoam. You're going to find a way to climb them.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the tech world though is always going to change. Doctors, they're probably always going to change because there's always new innovative ways to do heart surgery or brain surgery. So like there are things that are always ever changing, and in those industries, you gotta be able to swap the engine whenever the time is right, or be watching for problems so that you can swap the engine.
But you see, there is that in the tree industry in minor ways. I feel like you see crews that are doing it way different than anyone else.
Oh, absolutely.
But they're far in between. Like Trees has that remote controlled. Grapple saw.
Yeah.
They're probably one of the few in the country that have it, and it sets them apart. Do you think like 5-10 years down the road we see everyone doing tree work with a grapple saw?
Yeah, we're already moving towards grapples now. Like a lot of people use grapples, but it's the same thing. Can you imagine the first guys that did a tree removal with a freaking crane?
Right. Yeah.
Everyone was probably mind blown. Like we need to do that every single time. Why are we not doing that? It took 2 hours to do something that usually takes us 3 days. You know. I would imagine so. I would imagine at some point they're going to invent a drone that can probably hold the weight of a human. And you know what's going to happen? You're going to fly up to the top of the tree and drop in with your climb line and be chilling.
You just take a picture of it?
Yeah, dude.
Delete it out of the simulation?
Yeah, like, I'm just going to fly my drone with me attached to it and then rappel it to my cut zone and do whatever.
Exactly.
There will probably be ways that the tree industry will absolutely change.
I mean, everything is, I guess.
And you just have to stay with the times, there will be teams that still do stuff the old school way and teams that do stuff the new way. And once the new way is like fully inflated, then it gets passed down to everybody else. That's usually how transition works.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. But I like it enough that, I'm willing to try new things. I get stuck. Here's a good one. I get stuck in this one. Here's my question for you. Maybe we will word it in such a way that like, if you were to give me advice as a business owner, what would you say? I have a hard time because sometimes my innovation that I want to do goes contradictory to like what maybe other tree guys do. And when you have employees that you care about and like upper management, you talk to them and you're like, hey, I was thinking about doing this. What do you do when your upper management disagrees with what you think is best for
I would say you'd have to discuss it further, you have to...
Are
you saying you've sat down, you've put everything forward, you've talked it all out, and still it's a no?
Yeah. Like they're like, I don't want to change. This is the best way to do it. And you're like, I think this is the best way to do it. But you can't crap all over your upper management. They're your guys.
You can't crap all over them, but you can tell them, it's like, well, give me the benefit of the doubt as the owner and the man who pays you, and do it this way for 2 months or 6 months. And if it doesn't pan out, then
we'll go back.
Bad on me. We'll do it your way.
Yeah,
but in the end, I'm a very big proponent of work with your upper management as much as possible. Always consider their opinion. Try to find a common ground in between the two.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's your company, and you can do what you want.
Gotta do what you gotta
do. And they can go do whatever they want, because they're an individual person with agency as well.
100%.
They can go do whatever they want.
Yeah, 100%. Team effort, right?
Agency.
LDS
reference. From me.
Respect on it, dude. Stamp of approval. I like that hat.
Oh, dude, it's the best. It's the best hat I've ever bought. Yeah. I'll get you one, maybe.
I like the material. It's nice.
It's sick, dude. But,
well, you got anything else?
Have we talked that out? Yeah, I got one more thing if you want to talk about it real quick.
Let's chat it out.
3:37. We got
time.
Minute. My other one was more so, this kind of one that like Chat GPT kind of fed me that I was playing around with. But if you were just talking to someone who was just looking for advice on not even just being an entrepreneur, not being a business owner, a person who just struggles kind of making decisions, especially important ones. I mean, there's those people out there, and I know the name of many of them, and so do you. It's just some people have too many ideas. They never know how to commit. Some people have an idea, and they're just like, well, what do you think? And anyways, everyone has ways that they tackle questions. But as far as this podcast goes and the purpose of it, how do you framework a decision that you have to make? Like you have to make an important, let's say it's an important decision, upper class decision to be made that will have resounding effects of some sort. How do you framework each decision you make? Do you game plan it? Do you write down pros and cons? Do you kind of off the seat of your pants? You know, like how do you framework a decision and then decide on where to go with it?
I weigh pros and cons and then I act. And you know this. Yeah. I make swift decisions because I personally think that the longer you wait to do something, the least likely it is to get done.
Yeah.
So for me, I weigh pros and cons and then I make a decision and I don't look back because there's no point in looking back. I already picked the road I'm on, and if it doesn't work, then I'll change. I can change later on. I've never come across a situation in my life that I couldn't fix or change to work out somehow later on.
Right.
That doesn't mean that there isn't failures. Like there definitely is failures, but like in that moment, for instance, let's just say.
Well, I would say the goal here is not even to have the outcome that you want in that decision. Just where does it come from? The pros and cons. Where does that put you? Like.
Yeah. Well, like think about it this way. Here's a good one. I feel like a lot of people could relate to this. Let's say you and your wife have 2 cars, right? Mm-hmm. And you want to sell hers and buy her a new one.
Right.
And pros, your wife has a new car. She's very happy. Mm-hmm. It's good. It's within your price range. The MSRP is fine. Like the APR is good. Good deal.
No red flags.
No red flags. Everything's fine. The problem is it puts you maybe slightly out of your comfort zone financially. Not crazy, but a little bit. And maybe you have a side hustle that produces enough money. You're like, but if my side hustle doesn't produce money, then I can't afford it.
But money's not the only factor.
But money's not the only factor here.
Happiness is the factor here. Comfort is that.
Comfort is a factor. Safety. Maybe it's a safer car for your wife.
Maybe, yeah.
So I weigh all those pros and cons, and then I make a decision quick. So for me, in that scenario, if that was the case and it was slightly out of my comfort zone financially, I would do it. Right. Because 1, it makes my wife happy, and 2, I can find more money.
I'm the same.
I can find more money. Who cares? So it's like, why would I waste more of my time debating something and then maybe even not choose it? And now I'm not happy. Now I'm thinking about the fact that I should have got that car.
Right.
Just go do it and figure out a way to fix it later. Like that's how I feel.
And and you're, as far as I go and you go, I mean, we've not exemplified this in the past, but I'm not going to make a decision that cripples me.
No.
Like you're saying, like it's just outside your financial, like your financial capacity. I'd probably do it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like little uncomfort. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna make a decision that like the day that I get that bill, I'm like I'm gonna get evicted next month. I would never make that decision.
No. Yeah. Like if something went. Yeah. Like it's not when we're talking about this, we're talking about in reasonable capacities. Not like, oh yeah, my vehicle allotment is $600 a month, and I went and bought a $1,000 a month car. We're talking about my vehicle allotment is $600 and you bumped it to $700 or $800.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Like $100, $200.
It's
little
doable.
outcome for your zone.
Doable.
But you could come up with $100 and $200.
Right.
Like,
exactly. I mean, I could go back and do plasma and come up with $300.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, cool, man. And for me, I always know that I'll figure out that answer. And that's how I built Trico. And it's gotten me into hot water. Things have not worked out. For instance, we grew way too much last year. Couldn't sustain it. Winter happened, and I got kicked in the nuts for 3 months straight. So it doesn't always pan out in my favor. But what happened?
Yeah.
I made hard choices and it upset people, and we downsized and did the things that we needed to do, and we're still here. Because it's like...
Essentially, to our earlier example, I mean, you had a Ford 3500 that didn't work very well, and you traded in for a Toyota Camry that runs.
Yeah. Pretty much. yeah, pretty much. It's also like, what are you going to, at the end of your life, are you going to look back and be like, I'm so glad that I didn't buy that extra $100 a month vehicle for my wife?
Probably not.
Probably not. Probably
It's not going to be the game changer.
Cool, you might be a little overstressed for a couple of weeks while you figure out how to make the extra $100 a month, and then you'll figure out how to make the extra $100 a month. Because that's what people...
make the cuts where you need.
Make the cuts.
There's cuts to be made everywhere.
Yeah, and people just don't honestly don't understand how much they're actually capable of. For instance.
It's like, maybe I won't spend $150 on sushi just this week. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. Or a good example is like, a lot of people, another good one is like, people don't ask, and therefore they don't get. So, for instance, more often than not, if you go to your boss, I would say 50% of people right now could go to their boss and say, hey, I need a raise. Just a little one. I'm having trouble paying my bills. I would say 50% of those, of those 50% that went and asked, almost all of them would get it.
Yeah, if it's reasonable.
If it's reasonable.
I would think so too.
I mean, think about it right now. You could probably go ask Spencer right now for, extra $2 an hour, and he'd probably do it.
Yeah, my strategy has always just been don't ask for one for like a solid long time, like what feels like a long time.
Yeah.
And when you go ask, I'm always almost fairly confident I'll get
there
it.
You get it.
I typically don't ask until I'm fairly confident to get it, but that might just be me measuring and checking myself, being like, making sure I like to make sure I should get a raise. I'm not one of those people that's like, well, I worked here for a year, I need a raise.
Yeah.
If I'm not
performing better.
If I'm not performing, so in the beginning of a job, you get a job description.
Yep.
That's why Spencer gives everyone a job description. You get a job description whenever you start a job that says exactly what you're supposed to do, and it says what you're going to get paid. Mm-hmm. And a year after you start that company, if you are still doing what's on that job description, you don't get a raise.
Yeah.
You're not going above that pay, because this is the job, this is the pay.
Yeah.
However, if you're tackling things that come up, or if something has happened and you volunteer for this or that, or whatever, or you get more of your work done than is expected in the day that is allotted to you, then you get a raise.
Yeah. And on top of that, as a good boss, even like people with that attitude, I'll just give a raise on sheer, even if they weren't doing anything more, just on sheer attitude and the fact that you've been reliable.
If the attitude's good.
You've been reliable. You've done exactly what I asked you to do. I know you're going to perform the same way every single time. Yeah, I'll even give you a raise just because you've proved a lot of things to me. You don't even have to go above and beyond, and that's how a good boss and good employee.
Exactly. I just don't think time alone buys a raise.
No, I don't think so either. But it's also like I to the point that we were making earlier. I just think that a lot of people think that they can't find a way when you can, if you just ask. If you start looking around for a way, you will most likely find a way. But people don't want to look. They're just like, I can't do that. It's like, well, then you're not going to do it.
Yeah, it's kind of like that Simon Sinek thing or whatever. I mean, maybe not. I don't know who it was. Sounds like a Simon Sinek
Probably
thing.
Simon Sinek.
But it's like the whole thing where he's like, if I talk to you about a certain thing or a certain color for 5 minutes straight and just brought up that color tons and tons of times, and I said, like, okay, look for the color, this color, you're going to find that color. Like, even if without doing the minutes thing, if you were right now just like told me like, look for something that's red, I'd be like, I'd find a million things because that's all I'm looking for.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not gonna find it.
But then if I asked you in your head, hey, what's red in this room? It'd be like, I don't know.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know. Yeah. It's what you're looking for, and that's how I feel for most people. What you're looking for, you'll find. I'm looking for a way to grow this company, so I'll find it.
Yeah, you'll find it.
Like that's how it works in my opinion. And so that was the advice that I'd give to people is if you search, you will find.
Yeah.
But you have to search.
Agreed.
So that's what I would say.
Yeah. Well, I agree. Well, that's all I got for today. I mean,
Sweet.
We could call this one.
Yeah. All right. Let's call it.
We had like an hour and a half one last time.
Yep. We'll give you guys a short one. All right. That's all we got. Get out of our face.